They say that the algorithms work in such a way that when you're on social media, you can see what surfaces is like a mirror into your neshama, and it tells you exactly what are your innermost, deepest desires. So I can reveal to you what I've been seeing over and over again on my social media feeds. What pops up again and again are the videos of the Israeli soldiers returning home. And if you are obsessed with these videos like I am, then you might have noticed there's a pattern. There is a soldier, sometimes a man, sometimes a woman, still dressed in uniform, gun slung over the shoulder. They show up at their family's home or sometimes at their children's school, and they are embraced and embraced and embraced. And there are often tears, but not usually from the soldiers themselves. Usually the tears come from those who have been praying for the soldier day and night. And very often you may have noticed that as the soldier crosses the threshold of their home or the school, they instinctively reach out to touch the mezuzah on the doorpost. Have you noticed? Some Jews do this regularly, ritually, routinely, but when a soldier returning from the war front does this swift act, it takes on another layer of meaning. What might they mean by that gesture? Simply, it's good to be home, safe and sound. Thank God I have landed safely back in the nest. As the psalmist prayed, Adonai yishmor tzedcha uvo'echa me'ata ve'ad olam. May you be guarded, may God guard you, as you go out and when you return, now and forever. More than that, what might this mezuzah gesture mean to a soldier of Israel? That soldier has made himself into a mezuzah. He has become a mezuzah personified, the protector of the gates and the homes of Israel, a shomer Yisrael, a guardian of Israel's borders and boundaries. When the soldier returns home to rest, she can finally relinquish the responsibilities to the ultimate guardian of Israel, the shomer Yisrael on high. The human soldier of flesh and blood can turn over the great and heavy responsibility of protection to God, who is shomer Yisrael. And we learn this first from this week's Torah portion. In anticipation of the 10th and most deadly plague, in preparation for the most frightful of all the plagues, the one that will finally break Pharaoh's hardened heart, shatter it wide open, and cause him to release the Israelite slave class from bondage, there comes right then and there this strange mitzvah. Through Moses, God instructs the Israelites, take a bundle of hyssop branches and dip it into the blood of the lamb that you feasted on, and touch the blood to the lintel over the door and to the mezuzot, to the doorposts of your house. You have been told that such a bloodied entryway to your home will serve as a sign and a protection, God says, a shield to you and your family when God passes through on the way to smite the firstborn of Egypt. God will recognize your home as an innocent home, filled with innocent people who ought not be punished. And in that recognition, God will not allow the angel of death into your home to strike you down. It's a strange ritual, and it comes in an unexpected way. We might wonder, first of all, as many commentators and midrashists do, Why is such a sign necessary at all? Why would the all-knowing God, who has come to redeem us, why will the one who has come to carry us to freedom on eagle's wings require a reminder that we are the ones who are in need of rescue? Doesn't God recognize us? Doesn't God know our address? Doesn't God recognize our face? Doesn't God recognize our story? So, of course, this ritual is not for God's sake, but it must somehow be for our own sake. The other plagues did not call for our active participation in any way, only to stand and witness God's power. This one, the final one, requires something of us. We are to actively participate in the redemption by guarding our homes, by making of ourselves some source of protection. Rabbi Amelia Wolf points out a teaching from the Mechilta, and I'm grateful to her for pointing it out. The ancient rabbis suggest that once the angel of death has been let loose to strike down human beings, it does not, or perhaps cannot, distinguish between the wicked and the innocent. And we see that in the daily news now. We know that rockets do not discriminate. We know that hateful words that are launched do not discriminate. And so the innocent are suffering together with the wicked. And if we don't feel this pain, if it doesn't keep us up at night, then we need to have another look, because we are required to actively participate in redemption for our people and for all the world. Our parsha says, "You shall observe this matter as a law for you and for your children for all time, ad olam, forever." This is one of those times. This is part of forever. And so this is the story of physical protection. But we are not only physical beings. How do we protect our emotional selves? A couple of months ago, there were rumors about people taking photographs of Toronto homes with mezuzot on them. I don't know if those rumors were true or not, but I do know that the buzz was enough to spook us. The rumors spread quickly, and some contemplated taking down the mezuzah from their own home because their emotional self was so rattled. During Hanukkah, I met with a member of the congregation, a young mother of young children, and she told me, "Rabbi, we took our mezuzah down, and then bad things started happening in the house, a series of strange things. So we put it back up, and now I feel much safer." Now this mom, I know her to be a very grounded person, a rational person. And I don't think she believes that this little mezuzah on her door is a magic amulet that has power to protect in a kind of hocus-pocus kind of way. But I do believe that she believes, as I believe, that there is power in identifying our homes as Jewish homes. There is power in letting it be known in the world that I am part of a very small people. It is powerful to know that I am fulfilling a tradition that has been passed down through the generations, from the generation of the Exodus until this very day, ad olam, forever. That little mezuzah does have the power to protect, because it reminds us of who we are. It reminds us of where we come from. It reminds us to whom we belong. Without the mezuzah, our home is unguarded and exposed. With it, our homes are designated and dedicated, rooted and connected to Jewish homes and the Jewish people everywhere. We learn a similar message about protecting our emotional well-being from the following story, just a few weeks old. There is a little boy in Sderot. His name is Avremi Pezem, and he gave a remarkable speech in front of hundreds of rabbis who gathered for a conference. Sderot, you know, is the largest Israeli city along the Gaza border, where residents have 12 seconds from the time the siren is sounded to reach safe shelter. So Avremi describes another kind of protection, a mezuzah in time, a mezuzah in deeds. He says, "Since I was born until today, I have heard the red alert siren thousands of times." Imagine that. I learned how to run to the shelter, and I learned that if I'm too far from a shelter, I can find cover elsewhere by lying down and covering my head with my hands. And then he asked the crowd to experience what the span of 12 seconds is like. And the lights went down in the conference hall, and 12 seconds of silence. When the lights went up, the boy explained that he cherishes these 12 seconds, and that with practice over the years of his young life, he has learned that he can expand 12 seconds, that he can do a lot in 12 seconds. He says, "I cherish these 12 seconds. The world often sees these 12 seconds filled with fear and anxiety, a separation from life and death, but I know how to maximize these 12 seconds. In these 12 seconds, I've learned how to smile at other people that I see on their way to the shelters. In these 12 seconds, I've learned how to offer a kind word of encouragement to those I pass by. Sometimes I even offer a blessing. In these 12 seconds, sometimes I can give an embrace to my fellow Jew, to give some support. In these 12 seconds, I can remind them to breathe again and again, to live. In these 12 seconds, with my hands over my head, I can offer a prayer. I can pray that God will be the Shomer Yisrael, the protector, the guardian of Israel. In this lengthening of time, this expansion, this extension of 12 seconds, there is an astounding reminder of the human capacity to protect. Even under duress, especially under duress, we can find the opportunity and the ability to flash a smile, to offer a word or a hug, to take in another breath, to pray another prayer. And in this way, we too can become a mezuzah personified. You know, there are some letters on most mezuzot, sometimes just the letter Shin. It stands for God's name, Shin Daled Yud Shaddai. The ancient rabbis teach that this mysterious name might be an acronym. The three letters could possibly stand for Shomer Delatot Yisrael, guardian of the doorways of the people of Israel. So how can we at this time of duress become guardians for one another, for our physical well-beings, for our emotional well-beings? Thank God we do not have to count the seconds here, but we still nevertheless have to make every second count. How can we extend and lengthen the time we are given to provide for one another? What is that little mitzvah that we can take up spontaneously or in a planned way to show ourselves to be protectors of and providers for our people who needs us now? And what more must we do to guard ourselves from fear and despair, God forbid? Just at the beginning of the service and in the middle of the service today, we heard already twice Birkat Kohanim, the priestly blessing, which is a threefold blessing. And our sages teach that the first of the three is to ask for physical well-being. The next blessing is the next layer, to ask for emotional well-being. And then the pinnacle of Birkat Kohanim is when we ask for spiritual blessings for our spiritual selves. And so we don't stop. Rav Kook of blessed memory, the first chief rabbi of pre-state Israel, in his book Olot HaKadosh, The Lights of Holiness, he reminds us that we are not only physical bodies walking this physical planet, and we must never forget to tend to our spiritual selves and to tend to the spiritual dimensions of this world. He says, know yourself, know your thoughts, know your heart. Find the source of life that is above you. Find the source of life that is within you. Know that everything in the universe is connected by the great spiritual being of the universe. Find your roots. Contemplate how God can anchor you in this world. Feel how connected you are. Know how brightly your light can shine. And part of this little book was left out of the first publication, but was eventually discovered. And so it's been added to the manuscript, and there are a few lines that have been set to melody. And this melody has been treasured by Israelis and diaspora Jews for a few years now. We sing it often, and I most recently heard it in the plaza for the hostages in Tel Aviv, when a few rabbis gathered to lead the families of the hostages in prayer. We sang this song, Kanfei Ruach, and we'll hear it in just a moment. But I want you first to understand what Rav Kook is asking of us, what he is reminding us. He says, "O human being, arise, rise up. You have strength within you yet. You have wings of spirit, wings like powerful eagles. Do not deny them. Do not deny that you have these wings of spirit, lest they deny you. Seek them out, and they will find you. You will find them, and they will find you in an instant." So this is my prayer for us on this Shabbat, after marking 100 days, and 100 days to go until Pesach. I know we talk a lot about our physical threats, our physical protection, both here and in Israel and throughout the diaspora. God help us. And those strategies and those resources and that bravery and courage is part of the formula now. But we must not stop the conversation there. We must also tend to our emotional well-beings. We must check in with one another. We must give a smile, a hug, a prayer, a blessing to one another as often as we can and in every way that we can. And then finally, I want to call attention to the work of the Spirit, which is not talked about enough. We don't find it in the morning news. We don't find it in our phone calls and social media feeds. But we have to talk about it here. We have to be able to address it here in this holy place on this holy day. Because each of us is a spiritual being. So how is your neshama? And how is the neshama of those you love? Let us be sure to tend to them. Tu B'Shvat is coming to remind us that just like the trees need to be tended, watered, given light, so must the human neshama be tended, cultivated, so that we can dig those roots that we have deep into the ground, into the history of our people, so that our trunk can grow tall and straight, so that we can walk with dignity through this world, with confidence, hold out our branches, not only to our own people, but to all peoples who are in need of help, and so that we can bear the most precious fruits of peace. Ken Yehi Ratzon.